Hi guys, and welcome back to our next class. This week we are on Unit 5, Week 5, and we're going to be talking about energy. Now today our essential question is, what are different kinds of energy? And even what is energy? That is what our lesson is about today. Now first, let's take a look at our introduction. We've got the power. Carlos lives near a windmill farm. He loves to ride past on his bike and watch the turbines spin in the wind. Wind power makes electricity that heats his house and powers his lights. Energy comes from many different sources. Energy from the wind and sun are renewable. They can be used again and again. Now, some words that we're going to be talking about today is obviously energy, but also this word, renewable. What does it mean if something is renewable? A renewable energy, right? It tells us right here, it means that something can be used over and over again. So we're going to be looking at the different sources of energy in this chapter. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at our definitions. So our first word for today is energy. So energy is the strength and the vitality that you need in order to have some physical activity or even a mental activity. So think of it as strength, right? I need energy. Good food gives Ron and his grandpa lots of energy to work together. Next, we have natural. Now, if something is natural, it means that it is already existing in nature or that it is caused by nature. Cotton is a natural material used to make clothes. Next, we have pollution. Now, pollution is the presence or an introduction into the environment of a substance or a thing that has harmful or poisonous effects. So pollution is going to harm you or the environment in some way. Water pollution, such as garbage and chemicals, can harm animals. Next, we have produce. Now, to produce means that we're going to make or manufacture something from materials or components. We have to put things together. The sun can produce enough solar power to heat this family's home. All right, on to our next page. Now we have renewable. Now remember that renewable means that you can use it over and over again, so it's capable of being renewed. Trees are a renewable resource because more will always grow. Next, we have replace. Now, if I want to replace something, it means that I take the place of something else. So, if I want to replace this hand with that hand, and have to take the place of. Soon, Tina will replace her car with one that runs on electricity. Next up, we have sources. Now, a source or sources is a place or a person or a thing from which something comes or can be obtained. I need to get something from the source. Wind and solar power are two energy sources we can use. Traditional. So if something is traditional, it means that it is existing as part of a tradition, that people have been doing it over and over again for many years. It's long established. This says Cho and her mother like to eat traditional foods, such as rice and fish. All right, now that brings us to our story for today. Okay? And today we have a story that is an expository text. And the title of our story is Here Comes Solar Power. Now, in our expository text today, we're going to be reading a lot of facts and information about this science topic. Okay, so we're going to see photographs, we're going to see some captions, maybe some headings, maybe some sidebars in our reading today. And what we're going to be thinking about, what are different kinds of energy? So we're going to read why solar energy is a good source of power. And we can see from our picture on the page, we have a little caption that says, "This energetic snowboarder gets his power from the healthful foods he eats." So how do we get energy? Now, today we're going to do something a little different. I am not going to read the story with you today. Instead, what I want you to do is I want you to hit the pause button or hit stop, and I want you to read this page by yourself and on your own. And I'm going to ask you some questions to see if you understood what you read. Okay, so go ahead and hit pause, and when you're ready, come back and hit play. All right, so my first question is, how do you get your energy? All right, now it tells us that we get most of our energy from eating healthful foods. So that's how we get our energy. Now, how do machines and factories and businesses, how do they get their energy? Very good. Now it says that they are getting their energy from something called, yes, fossil fuels. Now a fossil fuel can be coal, petroleum, and natural gas. Okay, all of these can be a fossil fuel. And where do fossil fuels come from? Very good. So it tells us that these fuels come from deep under the Earth's surface, but they're running out. So we need to find or replace some alternative energy sources so our energy doesn't go bye-bye. All right, now let's move to the next page. All right, please hit pause and read this page. And when you are finished reading, hit play, and I will ask you some questions from this part. Okay, so on this page, what is the story telling us? If we change from fossil fuels, what is the next energy that's going to take over? All right, perfect. So it tells us that the next energy that really is from solar power. Now, why do people want to use solar power? Okay, well, one reason is that solar power is cheaper than fossil fuels, and it does not create pollution. Now, what do solar panels or solar power look like? How do we get this power? Awesome. So all we need to do is take a look at our picture over here, and we see that this is a solar panel. And we can place solar panels around, and these solar panels suck in the energy from the sun so that we can reuse it in any way that we would like. All right, next page. Please hit pause and hit play after you're finished reading. All right, now I would like for you to give me 3 reasons why solar power is a good source of energy. Okay. Now you could have given me anything from this list over here. It says that solar power is cheaper. It's renewable. It doesn't cause pollution. It's always available. The sun is always there. And it is natural, so it's not going to run out. All of these reasons make it a good alternative than using fossil fuels. Now let's go ahead and let's look back on what we learned today. And we're going to be talking about something called cause and effect. So a cause is why something happens. An effect is what happens. And they happen in time order. So one happens before or after the other. And we have some signal words like so, as a result, because. These can help you find cause and effect. This happens because of that. All right, so first we could say that you eat healthful foods. Okay, so what happens because you eat healthful foods? Well, as a result, you have energy. Next, companies need energy too. So what happens because companies need energy too? Well, so they use fossil fuels for energy. Then, fossil fuels are not renewable. What happens because fossil fuels are not renewable? So we should try and find another energy source to replace it. Now finally, solar power is the best option for energy. Why? What happens? Because it is renewable, cheaper, and does not cause pollution. All of these are cause and effect from our story today. Now let's go ahead and let's work on some of our vocabulary words. So let's just review. We had produce, sources, replace, traditional, energy, renewable, natural, and pollution. Now let's just use 4 of those words and use those in a sentence today. So our first word is traditional. It says, we are going over to our friend's house. Ooh, why would we be going over to our friend's house? Well, perhaps we are going over for a traditional meal. We are going over to our friend's house for a traditional meal. Number 2, sources. The sun and the wind. Now let's put that into a sentence. The sun and the wind are renewable sources of energy. Very good. Let's try number 3, produce. Our science teacher asked us what? Well, perhaps our science teacher asked us to produce a fun science project. Have you ever made a project in science class? I'm sure you probably have. All right, so last sentence is energy. It says, I slept for 8 hours. How could those 2 sentences go together? Well, we could say, I slept for 8 hours, so I had a lot of energy in the morning. All right, now why don't you take the other 4 words and practice writing those in sentences too for your homework this week. All right, so next let's take a look at grammar. Now we're talking about something called a contraction. Let's look in our grammar box right here. A contraction is a shortened form of 2 words. She is becomes she's. An apostrophe replaces letters that are left out in a pronoun-verb contraction. So here are some common contractions that you would see when you are reading. Some like he is he's. She is she's. It is it's. You are you're. I am I'm. We are we're. They are they're. And I have I've. Now let's go ahead and we need to figure out how can we change these words to become contractions. So let's look at number 1. I am writing a report about animals and their habitats. So how could we change I am? Very good. So we did change that to I'm. I'm writing a report. Number 2, I think it is interesting to learn about animals and where they live. So now we need to change it is to very good. It's. Number 3, Dad says that he has seen an eagle's nest. We need to change he has to very good. We're going to change it to he's. Dad said that he's seen an eagle's nest. Number 4, I have only seen one in a picture that shows the eagle's nest high up in a tree. I need to change I have to what? Very good, to I've. I've only seen. Very good job. Now, we have a few more contractions to learn. Now, contractions can be formed with a pronoun and a helping verb. For example, we could have is, have, or will as a helping verb. Now, if we have helping verbs, some of the contractions we might see are I will, I'll, he will, he'll, she will, she'll, we will, you will, you'll, it will, it'll, and they will or they'll. So let's have a look, and we want to underline the words in the sentence that's going to make a contraction, and then we need to write the correct contraction on the paper. Okay, here we go. First up, number 1. We will have lots of fun at the park. So in this sentence, we want to underline we will. Very good. And we're going to change that by spelling it like will. Will have lots of fun at the park. Number 2, I think you will like the salad I make. Which words should we underline? You will. And that becomes you'll. Very good. Number 3, do you think it will be ready by noon? Which 2 words should we underline? Very good. It will. And we can change it into it'll. It'll be ready by noon. Number 4, we can ask if she will come early. What words should I underline? Very good. She will. And we change that to she'll. Very good. We can ask if she'll come early. All right, now let's move to our draft model for today. Let's go ahead and let's give it a read. Regular cars waste energy. Electric cars run on electricity. Regular cars pollute the air. Electric cars can be charged right on the street. I want to have an electric car when I'm old enough to drive. Now, what we want to do in this draft model today is we want to put our own beliefs and our own opinions into this paragraph. Right now, it's only a lot of facts, and we want to have some feelings and some emotions and some opinions in this paragraph as well. So let's see if we can put some feeling into this. Number 1, what does the author probably believe about wasting energy? Well, he tells us that he wants to have an electric car, right? So that probably means that he doesn't believe in it. He doesn't like it. So we could say that he thinks people should save energy and not waste it. Number 2, why does the author think we should care about pollution? Why should we care about pollution? Do you know why? Because pollution could harm the planet and people living. So it could harm me or you and the planet. So we should really worry about pollution. What important things does the author believe electric cars can help with? Right. So why have an electric car? What is so special about that? Well, electric cars can help save fossil fuels. They don't pollute the air. And number 4, what is the writer's viewpoint about electric cars? What do you think? Does he have a negative view or a very positive view? Does he like it? Does he not like it? Yes, we can tell by his writing that he has a very positive outlook on electric cars. He really thinks that they're going to help the environment. All right, now let's go ahead and let's add this to our draft model today. All right, I'm going to make this just a little smaller just to see if I can fit everything on our paragraph here. All right, so here we go. We could say, I believe that people should save energy and not waste it. Regular cars waste energy. They use fossil fuels that are not renewable and pollute the air. All right. Electric cars run on electricity. This can help save fossil fuels and also help to keep the planet clean. Also, electric cars can be charged right on the street. I want to have an electric car when I'm old enough to drive because it will help keep people safe and the earth clean. All right. I believe that people should save energy and not waste it. Regular cars waste energy. They use fossil fuels that are not renewable and pollute the air. Electric cars run on electricity. This can help save fossil fuels and also help to keep the planet clean. Also, electric cars can be charged right on the street. I want to have an electric car when I'm old enough to drive because it will help keep the people safe and the earth clean. All right, now you see how we just put so many more ideas about how we feel and what we believe and what electric cars can actually do for the environment. And this makes a much better paragraph. All right, guys, that's the end of our lesson for today. Thank you so much for studying English with me. I will see you next time, all right? Happy practicing your English. Bye.